this evening. And we just praise you, Father, for the ways that you bless us and watch over us as things continue to progress and we continue to hear good news about the condition of the pandemic and the way things are going just in a really good way, Father. We just pray that people will continue to seek the vaccine as they feel comfortable with it, and that we'll be able to get to a place where it will be easier for us to gather together and just be with each other in the ways that we've been waiting for now over a whole year. And so just pray that you'll be with that. Be with everyone who still has these last few weeks of school left. Help them, Lord, to continue to just fight the good fight. I know this has been a really challenging year for a whole lot of people, so please be with them and lift them up. Help them to have a good finish to the year, Father. We just pray that you'll be with us tonight. Help us to hear some new news from your good word that helps us and encourages us. And for those that are unable to be here, if any of them are watching now or watch later, we just pray that you'll let your blessing be on them as well. We thank you, Father, and we ask this in your name. Amen.
It's turning into one word. Stop. It's turning into one stupid word. It's morphing together. Make it stop.
You think I...
Yes. Absolutely you would. That is exactly what you would do.
It's like, mom.
I despise you, sir.
Okay.
I'm crying.
I'm sorry.
Wow, I was not expecting that. Alright, I'm ready to learn.
Okay. Welcome to youth. All right, let's be honest. Who here in this room has ever been Cookie Monster? You know what I'm saying? It's over and over and over and over and over and over. And the old proverbial, are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And the old proverbial, if you say, are we there yet, one more time, I'm going to reach back
Are
there
we
and
there
smack
yet?
you.
Are we there? What were you waiting for when you were in the place of the Cookie Monster? By the way, does this make you see Cookie Monster in any different way?
No, he's Cookie Monster. That's what he does.
Monster. He is clearly waiting for
Cookies.
cookies, yes. I don't care what they say about him now eating vegetables. He will always...
It is a lie. It is very, very facetious lie.
Always. So, what were you waiting for when you were in the place of Cookie Monster? Hannah?
To go to Florida.
To go to Florida.
Yep.
So you were, how about now?
Yeah, I said, when are we going to be there?
So you could not wait to get to
I
Florida.
could not wait.
Was there a destination in Florida that you were going to, or was it just Florida?
Like Pensacola Beach.
Pensacola
Just like
Beach.
the hotel. Yeah.
The beach, you found the idea of the beach very exciting, apparently.
Yeah.
Because we don't really have beaches here.
And I see dolphins.
Dolphins, of course.
You can see dolphins at the zoo, Hannah.
Who doesn't love being tan and seeing dolphins? And if you do it right, you can do both at the same time.
I don't tan, I burn. You've watched me burn.
That sounds to me like a personal problem. So,
What did you
who else?
do?
What were you waiting for when you were in the
Of
place
course
of
you
the
did.
Cookie Monster?
Waiting to get off of work.
Waiting to get off of work. Never been in that position before. Watching the clock just seem to tick by more and more slowly. And crazy, crazy people calling me every 2 minutes and wanting all kinds of ridiculous things that I don't know why they're calling me for.
Microarrangements for their loved
Yes.
ones.
Okay, yeah, I've never been there before though.
'Cause that's
Who else? What were you waiting for, Tegan?
That one time I went to that Comic-Con and I swear it was a never-ending car drive. We got to the point where there was a McDonald's smack dab in the middle of the road and I had had it and I needed to
That would
pee.
be the McDonald's between.
That was the most
Chicago and the
sadistic
rest of
car
the
ride
city.
of my life.
You know what I'm
That
talking
was the
about?
most sadistic car ride of my life.
That is the strangest place in the world for McDonald's.
But it makes
You guys
sense.
know which McDonald's I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
No.
Yes, and it's, oh, that car ride was
McDonald's,
evil.
You drive up to Chicago and there's this McDonald's.
McDonald's smack dab in the middle of the highway.
Yeah, right in the middle of the
Like,
highway.
smack dab.
Everybody knows where that McDonald's is.
Everybody knows about that McDonald's. It's weird. It's a really weird
Anthony,
McDonald's.
were you ever a Cookie Monster? What,
Never
do you remember what you were waiting for?
Ever. It's
I'm
evil.
currently
That
Cookie
tribe is
Monster,
evil.
waiting for the new
Especially when you're
League of Legends animated series. It's supposed to come out this year, but they haven't announced the release date yet. So every day I'm looking to see when it's going to be
When's
released.
it going to be released also? All right, what's it going to be on?
I don't know. They haven't announced it. Could be
So there's going to be a
Netflix.
League of Legends series, you just don't know who's airing it when.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
And
something like that.
it's been announced since last year, and they haven't said anything about it. Just says coming this year, and I've been waiting since last year to hear more. They haven't said.
That's right. Now, I've been kind of that way with Apple TV's going to be having Foundation, which is a big nerdy sci-fi series. I've been very anxious for that.
No.
In fact, in my impatient waiting for Foundation, I've been reading the original books that Isaac Asimov wrote. So anyway, so that's my how about now activity for that TV show. I'm actually going through the books, waiting for the TV show too. So anyone else? What were you waiting for? Tegan, one more time. One more
I'm
time.
having another how about now moment with Disney Plus. You know why.
Oh yes. Waiting on Percy
Disney is
Jackson.
finally getting their crap together and making a live action Percy Jackson TV show.
TV series.
And I swear if they don't do it right, I'm gonna burn something.
Do you ever drive?
They
someone
screwed up the
nuts when
movies
they're
and I'm
waiting?
not having it with the TV show.
Who do you drive nuts from the waiting?
Everyone around me.
Everyone.
You and Mom.
Me.
Anthony. Everyone around you.
You
including
and
your
Mom.
Poor defenseless cousin.
Especially if it's like a BTS album. 'Cause that's all I'll talk about.
Oh no,
I do
the
same.
girls
I
have
just
corrupted
love
you.
those guys.
They have a new song coming, by the way.
Yeah. When you're driving those people crazy, how do you think they feel? And don't say crazy.
Annoying.
Murderous.
Annoyed,
Yeah.
murderous. How else do you think that they feel when you're just like going nuts?
Homicidal.
Waiting. Anybody else you think they're feeling?
How about now, like, are you gonna stop asking?
No, that's kind of a horrible one to take. Well, how do they feel about you? And they're maybe not feeling real kindly, are they? Yeah. How about now I put my fingers balled up into your nose? We won't say what that one is, but we'll go on. What is it about waiting that makes it so very hard? The anticipation. The anticipation. And what does the anticipation do to you, do you think?
It kind of makes you like anxious, like on edge.
Anxious and on edge? I can see that. As a matter of fact, I can identify with that. Someone else, what is it about waiting that is so difficult?
It makes time go slow.
It makes time go slow when you do something, and it makes the time go slow. What else? What else is it about waiting? What does it make time go slow? Why does it make you feel anxious? Why does it, what makes you feel those ways? Don't tell me you're waiting, but what is it about the waiting that makes you feel those ways?
You just want to either be there or like you just want it to happen now.
You want it now. You would like to have it right now. Whatever it is that you want or desire, whatever it is that's coming down the road, you just want it to take place now. In your waiting, instead of going, how about now? Do you ever do that? Pull that? Well, I wish it was Thursday already. Yeah, you can say that out loud. What are different kinds of things that we find ourselves waiting on? Now, you, Hannah, have already said what all of us always wait in anticipation for, the next great BTS album. Anyone else have something that is common that we might all find ourselves waiting for? What are things that we might find ourselves waiting for?
The last day of the school year.
The last day of the school year. And you're not talking about the kids, you're talking about the teachers, right? Shh, don't tell anyone. What about, there's a particular holiday, you put this big green pointy thing in the middle of
I said
everything.
it.
Huh?
Christmas.
Christmas, yeah. Christmas, and on Christmas morning, I remember as a kid, on Christmas Eve, there was a period where it was so hard to go to sleep the night before, because you were so excited and so anxious about what was coming the next morning. That was something that was hard to wait for. Someone else, something that's hard to wait for, you think? Something people find themselves frequently waiting for. Can't think of anything? Nothing? Nothing?
A lot of people get like excited, like waiting for like new movies that they like to come out, like the next Marvel movie or TV show.
I was very, very, very anxious for The Force Awakens to come out. And was pleased when it was, but then after Last Jedi came out, I wasn't real sure that I was anxious for the next one. So, might have ruined that one for me. Yeah, absolutely movies. How about your wedding day?
Oh.
Do you find maybe yourself anxious for those kinds of things in your life? Big events of our life. And how about this? Do you ever think now, because maybe you're not even thinking about a wedding day, obviously, but in your heart you think, I'll never be able to get married, or it'll never come, that'll never happen. Tell them, yep. And followed up with a one woman. Yeah, you may be missing an important piece of the whole wedding part. I remember as a kid, I thought, I'll never live long enough to get married, or by the time I get the opportunity to be married, the world will have blown up or something, and so I won't get to have it. So I get anxious about those things. There are all kinds of things that we get anxious about, and we use that phrase that I mentioned earlier where we go, I wish it was already Thursday, or I wish I could already do this, or I wish I could always do that. And did your parents or someone else of equal great importance and wisdom say to you, why do you want to wish your life away? Your dad tells you that. Oh my gosh, what a surprise. You know, and they don't want they're telling you, don't wish your life away. It won't be here before you know it, all that stuff's going to come and it's all going to happen. And so just be patient. And in your mind you're thinking, it's easy for you to be patient. You're already married. You've already got kids. You've already done this. You've already done that. You're old. You've done everything already. You would never think that about your father, right?
Never.
That he's old. I am not.
I call him the
In spite of what Anthony tried to infer earlier this evening, I'm not that old. What do you think they mean when they tell you, don't wish your life away, it'll come soon enough? What are they trying to tell you when they say that?
Like live in the moment and be content of what is happening right now, and then it'll come when it comes.
Yeah, so just be content for what you have now. When it comes, it'll come. So be patient and wait and live today for the day that you have today. So, I think you're probably right about that. That is a whole lot of what it means. I want to share with you a passage now that is, I think, very similar along that subject line. And of course, tonight we're talking about waiting. And I want to read to you from James chapter 5, verses 7 through 8. And here is what James said. He said, "Dear brothers and sisters, be patient as you wait for the Lord's return. Consider the farmers who patiently wait for the rains in the fall and the spring. They eagerly look for the valuable harvest to ripen. You too must be patient. Take courage, for the coming of the Lord is near." Now here's something interesting about that. James said, take courage, for the coming of the Lord is near. That was nearly 2,000 years ago. Has he come back? Has he returned? I hope I didn't miss it. Right? I hope I didn't miss it. And he's saying it's near. Guess it didn't seem too near to those guys, did it? But Paul still says, James still says, take courage. When someone tells you, be patient, it will come, how do you want to respond to them? You're waiting, and you're anxious, and you just want it to happen, and they say to you those words, be patient, it'll come. What do you want to say to them? Anything? How does it make you feel when they tell you, just be patient, it'll happen? It makes you irritated. Why does it make you irritated?
Because they don't understand. Like, they might not want it as much as I do.
Oh, well, you maybe don't understand how badly I want this thing. So you get irritated at it. Anyone else? How do you feel? Someone says, just be patient, it'll happen. How do I'm the kind of your mind, and I get the whole attitude of, you're not the one waiting. I'm the one waiting here, not you. So don't be telling me to be patient. So I kind of have the same opinion about that. Who else? Someone else. When someone says, be patient, it'll happen. How do you feel like you would like to respond to that person? Joe? I thought you put your hand up. Okay. Oh, you feel okay? That's it. Okay.
I think I will be patient.
What's that?
She said, I think I will be patient.
I will.
I just needed someone to tell me.
Your instruction has given me heart. I will be patient. Thanks for those calming words. Yeah, I guess I'm a little more jaded about it than maybe some others. No matter how old you get or the number of times you find yourself, or I find myself even waiting, I gotta admit to you guys, patience in waiting can still be kind of nerve-wracking for me. I know it's like you said earlier. There's something I'm wanting. I'm anxious for it. I'd like for it to happen now, and I know I gotta wait, but I'm anxious, and I still would love to see that thing happen now, right now, the way I want it to happen. And the more I want something, the more I'm anticipating, and the bigger the thing is, or the bigger deal it is to me, the slower it seems like it goes. You know what I'm saying? So, if you're hungry and you're waiting to eat, that can seem slow. But if you're getting a brand new car and you're waiting to get it, that could be a bigger deal, right? So that may feel like much longer, just waiting for a bowl of cereal, right? But it just seems like things slow down. The more I want it, the harder it can be to wait for, and the longer the waiting seems to be. Now, when the farmer waits for the right time to harvest, just like James talks about in this passage, what does he get as a result in his patience and waiting? It's there. When the farmer waits for his harvest, what is it that he gets for his waiting? See, it's right there. What's he get?
Harvest.
He gets the harvest, doesn't he? What kind of harvest is it?
The ripened harvest.
Yeah, okay,
The
but
ripe harvest.
yeah, well,
Valuable.
valuable. It's valuable because he's a farmer, right? So he makes his living growing the crop, right? And then when he gets the crop and he harvests it, what's he going to do?
Sell it for money?
He's going to sell it. It's going to be his income and his livelihood. And in his patience for the harvest, he gets a valuable harvest to feed his family, to raise his children, to do the things that he needs to do, right? And if he was not patient, and he went out and he cut the harvest and brought it in early, how would that affect his livelihood? What do you think? And that shouldn't take too much thinking. He went out early, unwilling to wait any longer, and he brought it in, let's say 3 weeks early. How would that affect things?
They probably wouldn't be as valuable and they wouldn't be like fully grown maybe.
Yeah, it would probably very significantly change the harvest, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be fully grown, it might not be ripened, it certainly wouldn't be nearly as valuable as it maybe would be in 3 weeks. Just 3 more weeks waiting, and all the more valuable it would be. Just through the waiting. So how is patiently waiting for Jesus the same as the farmer? How is us patiently waiting for Jesus the same as the farmer patiently waiting? Have any idea? How is our patiently waiting for Jesus the same as the farmer waiting patiently?
We don't know when Jesus is going to come, but the farmer knows when his crop's going to grow.
Okay, well, that's how it's different. That's
Oh.
how it's
Oh,
different.
is it the same? Oh,
How is it the same?
oh, the same.
How is it the same? How are we like the farmer as we wait for Jesus' return? Well, what do you get? I don't think that's a trick question. It should be a pretty simple question.
The reward.
There's a reward that comes in the wait. And is it of any value?
It is of a lot value.
It is of a lot value. There's a great value in the waiting for his return. If we get impatient and decide to stop the wait and just go off and do something else, how will that affect the timing of his return for us? He's still going to come back, right? But how will it affect us?
Affects us very negatively.
It just might affect us a little negatively if we become impatient and decide to stop the wait on him and just go off and do our own thing. That could be kind of a pretty negative result. The farmer takes hope and is able to make his waiting bearable because he hopes for that valuable harvest that he knows can come at the right time, right? So he's able to remain patient in the wait, knowing that in the end, he's going to bring back something valuable. And our waiting on Christ is the same way as well. We can take hope in the waiting and find strength in the waiting because we know that at the end, if we are patient in waiting, something is coming that is a far greater value than the harvest of the crop, right? We get something a whole lot greater. What hope can we we take in waiting, not just for Jesus, but in waiting on the other things of life as well? Because there is so much more that we wait for. We've already thrown a couple of examples out there. So what was my question again? What hope can we take in waiting for the other things that we wait for in life? Where is it that we can find our hope for those things? Okay, so let's take one we mentioned, a biggie that happens for a whole lot of people, most people. Waiting patiently as you await to find that special someone, and then you get married. What is it? What is the hope that you can take in that wait?
I hope that if you wait for the right person for you, that you can be happy with someone a long time.
Good. Okay, that sounds like a pretty worthwhile thing to wait for then too. Because if you wait for the right time, you're going to wait for the right person, you're going to have a marriage that hopefully then is going to be lasting. You're going to be happy with that person, and you're going to have a happy and productive life, and it's going to be a really great value to you. Not monetarily, of course, maybe, but that is someone that you will love, and you guys will have all kinds of things that are good that come to you because of it. And all of life really is like that. We are ready and willing to be patient and to wait, whether it's something silly like a birthday present or something important like a spouse. There's always the reward or the benefit that comes as we wait patiently. But when we are not patient, when we run out and we just marry the first good-looking person we run into, if they'll have us, that you might wind up running into trouble, right? Or if you decide to sneak and get the presents early and your parents find out about it, well, maybe you won't get the presents at all, right? Sometimes the waiting can not just be difficult. Sometimes waiting can be very scary because there's other things in life that we wait for besides a marriage or besides birthday gifts or maybe the results of a test and waiting to find out what you had. Maybe that can be scary because you think you flunked the thing, but you're hoping you passed, right? That can perhaps bring a little bit of fear in your life, especially if those grades are monitored closely by your parents, right? Those things can be maybe kind of scary. We face things sometimes that can seem horrible and emotionally trying, and sometimes just downright very, very scary. But even in situations when that like that come along, we get some very good advice from Moses about that kind of situation. And here's what Moses said in Exodus 14. He said this, but Moses told the people, don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm. Now, there's Moses' advice. So what could be much scarier than this situation? Do you remember what's going on here? Do you know what's going on here when Moses said this? On one side, there's the Red Sea. And on the other side, there's, do you know? Huh?
An army.
An army. Not just any army, the Egyptian army, who currently happen to be one of the mightiest armies in the world that anyone was aware of, right? So you got the Red Sea to your back on one side and the big bad army on the other side, and you're sandwiched in between, and they're about to make a Hebrew children sandwich. That would be pretty scary. But what does Moses say?
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. He says, just be calm. If you got some big bag breathing down your neck from one direction, and your back is against the wall the other direction, and someone says to you, just be calm, you think it's going to be easy to just be calm? Is it going to be easy to just wait? And how easy is it going to be to actually believe the concept that Jesus is going to fight for me? I don't know. Could be kind of hard. When we get to that place, it can be hard and it can be scary. And that is a time when it can be tough to wait, especially when it's it's a short-term wait, but those seconds in that wait just tick by so slowly as you think your fate is coming at you right now. When was a time that you were worried or scared, but you could say, as the Israelites, as the Hebrew children were able to say after this event, they actually saw God fight for them? Have you ever had that experience where you were worried? You were maybe scared even, but once it was done, you could look back and you see that God actually fought for you. Did you ever have a time like that? Miss Sarah's bobbing her head up and down. Miss Sarah, what was the time for you?
Like waiting for test results for, there's not anything. What, I've waited for test results, medically, I waited for test results in school, for certification and job stuff,
Yeah.
just,
When you're in college, and especially if you're paying your own way to get through, and you're trying to pass a class and you're waiting on test results, I can tell you, that's a hard wait. Yeah. Or medical results, and you're trying to find out something that's important, maybe very important, something that could radically change your life. Those test results can be a little scary, not knowing what's coming out of those. I mean, those are life situations, and of course, there's always true danger that we face. And I hope that you can look back at some point and see that indeed God stepped in the middle and fought for you while you were in the midst of the waiting. He was active. That is exactly what God does. And Moses offered these words, and they seem hard and they seem kind of stupid almost, that how can you be calm when that is happening? But Moses' words, I'm telling you, I think they are dead on, and they're good advice, and they're hard to hear when things are hard. But when Moses gave the advice, he was standing right there with them. And he was right in the middle of it. And so when he said it, he had to probably believe it, because it wasn't long till he turned around, faced the Red Sea, held up that rod and cleared his throat, and the thing spread apart. And that's the way God will fight for us. Sometimes he'll step in and do something unbelievable, and you'll discover that the waiting was worth it all, because part of the value isn't just the fact that I get across the Red Sea and I get to live, but the fact that you see God's grace at work in your life. And that is just as important as the first part. Waiting always has its reward. I want you to see another passage here. What happened? It's wrong one? No. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Oh my goodness, you know what? I didn't paste it in there. I was like, or I didn't say that after I pasted it in. Let me just read it to you. Out of Lamentations 3:25 through 27. I'm sorry about that, guys. Here's what the writer wrote. He says, "The Lord is good to those who depend on him, to those who search him. So it is good to wait quietly for salvation from the Lord. And it is good for people to submit at an early age to the yoke of his discipline. It is good to wait quietly. It is good for people to submit at an early age to the yoke of his discipline. That was Lamentations 3:25-27. So, I hope you heard what I just read. What do you think is the single most important thing that we can do to be better at waiting? If you look at that passage, and I know you don't have it up before you to read, but I'm gonna make it easy. I'm just gonna tell you. In verse 27, here's what the writer said. And it is good for people to submit at an early age to the yoke of his discipline. You want to be great at waiting? You want to learn to be patient and be able to wait on someone else? When the writer says to submit, what do you think that they mean by submit? Anyone? What does the word submit? Submit at an early age to the yoke of his discipline. What's that mean? Anybody? Come on. Submit. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm just going to tell you. Obey. When we learn now to obey God now, it becomes easier to wait. You want to learn to be a better waiter. You want to learn to be patient and being willing to submit to God's will and be obedient to God. That is what makes it easier. Why would it make it easier? We're going to get to that in just a second. Being willing to obey God can be difficult, especially when you think you've got better plans. And I know that none of us ever do that. We think our plan's better. Even if God told us that another way is what we're supposed to do. And so we get all messed up in the mix of it, and we get things all screwed up because we didn't obey God. And things turn out badly sometimes because of that. But learning to obey God and waiting can be the difference between squash, lemons, and lemonade. You see what I'm saying? Being willing to be patient and wait and obey can be the difference between a bunch of ruined lemons and a big cold glass of lemonade. And that's exactly what can happen to us. So, I want to look at one more verse, but I want to read it to you from two different versions, and I want you to listen to it. There's something else that comes from a spirit that's willing to wait, or a spirit that can be patient with God. So I want you to listen to this. This should be a really familiar passage. Out of Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31, this is what Isaiah wrote. I bet you recognize the verse. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Heard that before? You probably heard that a whole lot, especially if you were raised your whole life in the church. That's probably one you hear a lot. That particular version I just read, that's from the King James Version. And so, over the years, people still probably quote that version of this verse the most. And does it say again at the beginning? It says, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Now, listen to the first phrase particularly of this version from the New Living Translation. Are you ready? Here's what it says. But those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. Did you hear that? But those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Gosh, the second, third, and fourth line of that is virtually identical to the first version, right? But it's that first line that's really different. The first version says they that wait, and the other version says they, but those who trust. So let me ask you a question that's not a trick question at all. What do you think waiting really is all about? Trusting. Waiting is about trusting. And if you trust what God has for you, even though waiting can be difficult, trusting in God can make the wait easier, because I trust that He has the right plan for me. I trust that He's going to bring me strength. I trust that He's going to fight for me, just like Moses was telling the Hebrew children. I trust that He knows what is best for me. And if I trust in Him, I will find strength, and I'm going to find success and happiness in Him. So the difference is not just waiting, but being willing and able to wait is really about trust. Waiting is very much about the trust. And if you don't trust someone, forget about God. If there's a person you don't trust, you might not be willing to let them set your dog, right? Because are you going to trust the care of Grover to someone that you're not real sure about?
No.
Why not?
Because they might do something bad to Grover.
You don't want nobody to hurt your dog, right? Poor Grover, oh my gosh. But, you know, when you trust someone, when you really do trust someone, I mean you really trust them, you're willing to go a whole lot further than just let the dog sit for you, right? You're willing to trust them with a lot of other things. You may even let them borrow your car. And that's a lot bigger than setting your dog, right? You may even trust them with something even more valuable than your car, like your secrets. Right? When you trust someone, you're willing to put in their hands things that are valuable and important to you. And that is what waiting on God is about. I trust Him. I believe that He is going to be there, and He's going to do what's best for me. And I will give Him the things in my life that are so important, and I can trust Him. I will wait for Him. And if you think you're running late, you're probably, and if you think that person, no, wait, I'm going to skip that. God's timing is perfect for us. And maybe I'm wrong. If you lent your car to someone and you've trusted them and they're running 10 minutes late, are you going to get excited about it? Maybe you will, but if you really trust that person, you're probably not going to get too excited about it, because you know you can trust them. And if there's trouble, they're going to call you and tell you, right? And it's the same way. God's timing is perfect, and our ability to trust and obey His instructions will take us a long, long way down the road toward our patience. And it's going to take us a long way down the road, even when it seems like there might not be an end to the road. He's going to be able to help us, and we're going to be able to hold on to hope, knowing that when the wait is over, just like the farmer, there's going to be a valuable reward for me in the end. Waiting, it's tough. How long have we waited for this pandemic to be over so that we can get back to the way things used to be in so many different ways? But when we wait and trust God, He brings a valuable reward to us in the end. Okay, let's say a word of prayer. Father, thanks for our time together tonight. You know I am not very good at being patient sometimes. And I know that that's probably true for a lot of people that I know, and a lot of people who have been part of our youth group, people that are here tonight. Just pray, Lord, you'll help us to learn to trust you better, that you'll help us to know that you fight for us, and to know that as we wait patiently for you and remain calm and waiting, that you're going to bring a reward for us, and you're going to fight for us, and you're going to show us your very best plan for our lives. And we're going to discover, if we do, that we're happy, we're content, and we're pleased because you have been there with us. Watch over us, protect everyone, and see them through the rest of the week, through school and work and so on, Father, and bring us back together to worship with you. We thank you, Lord, and ask this in your name. Amen. All righty, guys. See you later. Don't forget, next week,